All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack an idea that's over 200 years old, but believe it or not, it's totally revolutionizing our modern world. I'm talking everything from how we think about risk to, get this, how AI is literally learning to think.
So to really get what I'm talking about, let's try a little thought experiment. Put yourself in this situation. You're at a routine checkup, totally normal, and your doctor suggests a screening for a pretty rare disease.
Okay, so this disease, it's super rare. We're talking only 1 in 1,000 people get it. That's just 0.1% of the population. Now, this is our starting point, our baseline. In the lingo, they call this the base rate. So just tuck that number away, 0.1%.
But here's the thing. The hospital has this brand new, top-of-the-line test, and it's really accurate. We're talking 98% accurate. So you take the test, and then you get the news. It's positive. All right, so here's the big question. The test is 98% accurate. You tested positive. What's the chance you actually have the disease? I mean, your gut reaction is probably 98%, right? Or maybe a little less, like 90%? What do you think? Just go with your first instinct. Get ready for this. The actual probability is only 4.7%. Yeah, you heard that right. Just under 5%. Pretty wild, isn't it? I'm guessing your intuition was screaming something way higher. So, what is going on here? How can our intuition be so off?
Well, the answer to that little medical mystery, and honestly, the key to thinking more clearly about a lot of things, comes from this idea that's been hiding in plain sight for over 250 years.
And man, has this idea had a wild ride. It's called Bayes' Theorem. It was first published way back in 1763, and for centuries, honestly, it was this kind of dusty, niche thing just for statisticians. But then, around the 2000s, it just exploded. It became the engine, the literal logic, that powers today's machine learning and AI revolution.
So, you're probably wondering, how does this actually work? Don't worry, we're going to skip the complicated math formulas for now, because at its core, Bayesian thinking is actually a super simple but really powerful loop for updating your beliefs when you get new information. It really just comes down to 3 steps. First, you have your prior belief. That's what you thought before you got any new info. So in our puzzle, that was the 0.1% chance, the base rate. Then you get new evidence. For us, that was the positive test result. And finally, you combine those two to create your posterior belief. That's your new, updated understanding, the 4.7% chance. And it's a loop, right? Because today's updated belief becomes the starting point for tomorrow.
This diagram shows that exact same loop in action. You've got your starting belief, your prior, and it gets filtered through whatever new evidence comes along. Statisticians have a word for how strong that evidence is. They call it the likelihood. And what comes out the other side is your new, more refined belief, the posterior. It's a system, a mechanism for just getting a little bit closer to the truth.
Okay, so let's take this out of the world of math puzzles, because this isn't just theory. It's a super powerful mental model you can use to make way better decisions in your actual life.
Just think about these 2 different ways of looking at the world. On one hand, you've got static thinking. You fail at something and you think, well, that's it. I'm a failure. One piece of data defines your entire identity. But then you have Bayesian updating. You see that same failure not as a label, but as new data. It's just information. You ask, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I update my approach for next time? See the difference? It's huge.
You know who's an absolute master of this? The legendary investor Warren Buffett. This guy never just goes with a vague feeling about a company. Nope. He gathers evidence from every possible angle. He's digging in the financial reports, looking at historical data, even talking to the management and employees on the ground. He is constantly updating his assessment. He is literally turning a hunch into a well-reasoned probability.
And this quote from him just nails it. The secret to getting rich slowly is to never go crazy. That's what this is all about. When you think in probabilities, when you're always updating, you stop making those huge, catastrophic, all-in bets that are based on pure emotion. You avoid going crazy.
Okay, so this is where things get really cool, because this exact same logic, this process of updating beliefs, well, that's precisely how we're teaching machines to learn. This is the key thing to understand about AI. We don't just program it with all the answers. Instead, we design it with a prior, an initial belief, which can sometimes be nothing more than a random guess. And then we just feed it data, tons of it, millions of data points as evidence. And with every single piece of data it sees, it updates its own belief, forming a new posterior. It just gets a little bit less wrong, over and over and over again.
And the researchers in this field are so creative, it's amazing.
They come up with these fantastic metaphors for their models. For example, there's one called the Chinese restaurant process. Basically, it's a way for an AI to decide if a new piece of information fits into a category it already knows, or if it's so different that it needs to start a whole new category. It's how an AI learns to make sense of the world all on its own.
And when you scale this up, wow, this is what you get. This visualization here, this is a Bayesian model that is chewed through massive amounts of text from places like Google and Microsoft. And it hasn't just figured out what the topics are, it has mapped the hidden relationships between all those topics. Nobody programmed this map. The machine discovered these connections itself, just by updating its beliefs.
So when you boil it all down, embracing this way of thinking is really about a huge shift in perspective. It's about letting go of this idea that you have to be right all the time, this need for absolute certainty.
The goal isn't to be right, it's to become less wrong over time. It's a journey, right? Not a destination. You can think of it like a calibration tool for your own mind. It's a framework that forces a little humility on us, you know? It helps us remember that what we believe today is probably just temporary, and it's okay for it to change when we learn something new.
So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. We all have these beliefs we hold on to so tightly, things we think are absolute truths. But now, knowing about this powerful way of thinking, what's one of your strongly held beliefs that might be ready for a little Bayesian update?